So, fuck, oh, wow, how, this shit, hold on, what the fuck? My favorite Marvel movie yet. Guys, what's going on? It's Adonis. I just watched Guardians of the Galaxy. If you guys like comic book movie reviews and reactions to their trailers, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future content on this channel. So I'm gonna have to do this in two parts. It's gonna be one video. The first part is gonna be just my impression of the movie. The second half is gotta be spoilers. So in the spirit of the new 1 million subscriber man, Tyrone Magnus, this is gonna be a mullet style review. I gotta bite it off him because I have to talk about this. I have to. So tone of this movie is so good. And it's all about how they balance emotion in this movie. You have a ton of funny moments, but it doesn't seem like they're forced. They're all chemistry based. It's not just people cracking jokes. It's all chemistry off of each other. And then you balance that with the heartfelt moments that you have in this movie. Some parts that just make you kind of choke up because you're like, oh my God, like this is really happening. Like, how they balance this stuff. And this isn't just with one character. This is the entire crew, the entire cast that's in this movie. You have these emotional moments that just literally want to like gut punch you. It's like, oh my God, like, why am I feeling like this? And then they bring in the levity at the right time to break you out of it. Like James Gunn, ooh boy. So this movie's scale is unreal. You have Star-Lord basically on this mission trying to find out where he's from. And they tie all these pieces that were kind of left wide open from the first movie. Like who his father is and where he comes from, his background, and how his father is this amazing person. And I will be in the spoiler review of things because my God. And going into the movie, I didn't know how I was gonna feel about certain characters. Now we knew in the first one, Batista, not being an actor, they kind of wrote certain things to make his character interesting for him. I felt like the first movie was more so his physique, his prowess as, you know, a fighter. But in this movie, there's moments where you're just like, yo, like, you've been putting in work, my bro. You've been putting in work. And he's not just add-ins. He's not just ad-libs. Like there's parts where you're just like, man, like this is really good stuff going on right now. And then the other side of things, I was like, how are they gonna handle Groot in this movie? Because it seemed as in the trailers, it was like cash grab. It was like toys, you know, that's all they're really focused on. How do we grab the kids? How do we get them excited? They handle Groot so well in this movie. We learn more about Gamora and her sister as far as their background, why they're kind of at each other's throats, because it really wasn't flushed out a ton in the first movie. We get some really dynamic moments with Yondu. And I feel like it's on par with Rocket as well. Like their stories, how they kind of unraveled like their personalities in this film was just, oh my God. I can't get over like how good this is. And I'm so excited for people to actually go into this movie to be completely surprised on how this is handled. Now, Star-Lord being the main character on his journey in this movie is kind of the glue for the movie. Yes, he's the focus, but he's like so connected to all the other characters in their development for their own story arcs. It was handled so well, not to mention the action. Now, the action was something in the first movie that I felt was really solid, but obviously there's another level in this movie of what they decided to do. And a lot of it kind of focused around the whole planet exploration side of things in the movie. You meet some new planets, some new races of people that are like elitists, but crazy. You have some really good combat moments. The use of CG, the creativity behind some of these space battles, but behind some of the combat is done so well and so uniquely that it kind of completely voids the idea of you can't do too many more comic book movies. You're gonna run out of ideas. Like the stuff that you see in this movie, you're just like, how did you think of this? Like, why did you think of this? Like, it's so crazy. The music in this movie, again, they tie it in so well. And honestly, to be honest, like, how long are these tapes? Like, how can you listen to music on a tape for that long? Like, that's the comedic part in me, where I'm just kind of like, for real, like, you're still listening to this one tape through this entire movie, the one tape, and you're going from planet to planet and shit, like. And there's definitely some callbacks to comic book lore as well. So I feel like so many people are gonna like this movie for different reasons. You have the comic book fans that like it for some of the things they mention and show in the movie. Then you have some people that are fans of the MCU that maybe aren't comic book fans, but they like these characters and what they've seen on screen thus far, and it just brings you more in and makes you more attached to the actual property itself. Ah, man, I can't rave enough about how I enjoyed this movie. Like, it was done so well. Like, I think it's my favorite Marvel movie. I have to see it again, so don't take that completely, because I'm really excited. And I think a lot of it was, how do you top the first Guardians? Like, how you felt in that movie, because you were so surprised on how it turned out. And I feel like this movie did that in spades, but in a different direction. And I'm sweating, like I'm so excited, I'm fucking sweating right now. And in this movie, you had this kind of galactic threat. Like, for the first time, we've seen something at scale where it's a universal threat this time. It's not just planetary. It's not just this one thing that's happening that could affect other planets. The threat in this movie affects other planets immediately. It was crazy how they did it. So overall, like I said, I think this movie is fantastic. I think that if you're going in expecting, you know, Guardians 1, there are things in Guardians 1 that you're gonna get out of this movie, but it's more than that, and that's exciting. That's really exciting. But now we're gonna go into the spoiler talk of this movie. Yes. So a lot of the comic book fans know who Ego is, knows that he's Star-Lord's father, Ego the Living Planet. And I was really curious on how they were going to do that. Like, at what scale? Like, what do you mean? Like, how are you going to do it? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the comics, Ego isn't a Celestial. He's approached by Celestials, and there's things that go on with Celestials in the comics. Let me know if you guys have more specifics on that, because it's escaping me at the moment. However, he's not necessarily a Celestial in the comic lore. And Ego, as well, as it's strange because he's different in this iteration of him than he is in the comics. So I'm not really worried about that, but how they used him in the movie as far as the galactic threat. He's planting his seed with all these other people because he wants to create another type of Celestial so he can control the universe and kind of make things his own. And that galactic threat is something we haven't seen yet in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In an immediate way, yes, there's threats that are there that can affect the universe, but we haven't seen anything that is immediately affecting things until now. Now, when we see Stallone in this, I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on right now? Obviously, he wasn't a main character, but it was cool how they did it and how it tied into Yondu's story, and you got to see why Yondu did what he did. And who he became, and seeing how Ego affected him, you know, with the whole bringing these kids, and he was obviously in search for his son because he wanted to see if he had the gene, the Celestial gene. Now, Gamora and Nebula's story, and you see the pain in Nebula as she talks about what Thanos did to her as she was trying to have her and, you know, Gamora train as kids, and whoever lost basically paid the price by getting enhanced mechanically. And her pain that she endured, she just wanted a sister, and you're like, yo, this is crazy. And Gamora was trying to do the same thing. She's trying to stay alive and just didn't think of, like, man, like, my sister's in pain. Every time I win, she hurts. Like, it's one of those things where, you know, that's like real shit that happened in families, obviously metaphorically, but it's like, yo, like, you're not even paying attention because you're so focused on winning versus how it's affecting your you know, your kin. Like, that's so wild to me. Now we see Mantis, she's basically somebody that, you know, Ego picked up along the way and can help him do certain things that he needs her to do. And, you know, her ability to sense emotion and kind of control people through emotions is extremely powerful. And it actually helps tell some of the nuances for Drax. Because Drax as a character is kind of just so dry and comedic, and it may come down to obviously his skill set as far as an actor, not being able to, you know, bring forth those emotions, but how Mantis showcases those things in this movie is done so brilliant. The scene where they're sitting on the steps and Drax is talking about something that went on in his past, you know, and he's looking like he's just thinking. He's just looking out like nothing's wrong, and she's touching him and she's crying because she sees the pain. She feels the pain that he feels, but you can't see the pain that he feels. He's completely numb to it. And it was just one of those moments where it's like, this is unreal right now. Like, it's done so fucking well. Oh my God. And again, the nuances in this film, how they used all the characters to tell the best story possible. Now, Star-Lord's story to me was brilliant. It was done so well, and fucking Chris Pratt, man, fucking salute, bro. Like, you're incredible, dude. Like, incredible. We have the comedic side, right? We have the banter through everybody. We have the comedic side of Chris Pratt in this movie as expected. You know, he's trying to basically find out where his parents come from, you know, where his dad comes from. And we see him at the beginning of the movie after they leave the planet of Sovereign, after fucking Rocket steals the batteries, and we see Ego literally destroy an entire fleet effortlessly. And that's when we end up meeting him for the first time. At the very beginning of the movie, they set the tone right at the beginning of this mysterious person that's his father. Now, as any person that has never seen their dad before, he's super skeptic at first, right? Super skeptic. But as time goes on and you start seeing, you know, Ego show him his abilities as a celestial, like how he can control energy and matter and create. It's one of those moments that you're like, okay, maybe he is helping him mold him into something more of a hero type person. Maybe he's gonna have abilities that aren't in the comics that we don't know of, and you know, what's going on? Like, how are they painting this picture? Are they using him to get this abilities to help fight Thanos on a more of a, you know, level playing field? Like, what's going on? And then that shit just nosedives so quickly. And it was how they utilized the pain of Star-Lord and Gamora's relationship. Like, he didn't understand how to deal with it, and she was kind of blocked off, and she stormed off, and Ego saw it, and that's when he attacked. He attacked right there. And that's when everything changed for like the worst. Because earlier on he talked about how much he loved his mom. He talked about how much he loved her and why he didn't come back, and he had this bigger vision. But then when he shows him, and he's like, and you know, he starts talking about all the people that he brought to this planet, and you saw these dead bodies in these caverns, you're like, yo, this motherfucker is a monster. And it's one of those perspective things. He had this purpose of wanting to create this universe and, you know, kind of terraform the universe to make it a certain way, and then the destruction he does in the process, it's like, yo, this dude is a maniac. And then when he finally says, like, you know, it was such a sad day when I had to implant that tumor in her head, and you're just like, oh my God, like the pain, the amount of pain, I was just like, this is unreal. Like how, like people in the theater were like, oh, like everybody felt it at the same time. And you saw Chris Pratt come out of it. He completely snapped out of it and just immediately fired off. Like, and it was a funny moment because of the shots and what Ego looked like afterwards, but the serious tone of why he did it was still there. Like I said, the subtleties, guys, Jesus. And you had these tearjerker moments too, like where you're just like, oh God, like, you know, and it was one of those unexpected moments too, like you didn't know that you were gonna feel the way you were gonna feel until it happened. Mainly being when Yondu saves Star-Lord and then sacrifices him in space, like saves him, and it was like, you know what, like, oh my God, like I'm feeling it right now. Like I was like, yo, like that father-son moment, you're just like, gee, Jesus. Oh my God. And it was so powerful. Like the moments that they had in this movie, the Drax moment with Mantis, another one of those moments you're just like, this is crazy. Gamora and her sister, Rocket and Yondu, like there's just moments that just stood out emotionally, that just had so much weight that you just weren't expecting from a film like this. But like I said, they tied all these things in with spurts of levity that the characters naturally have to break that emotional drop, and it just keeps the movie moving forward in a progression that's like, the pace never felt like it died. You never felt like, oh fuck, like okay, exposition, okay, cool, like let's make this movie go, like let's keep it pushing. And it was super funny too, the whole Zune reference had me dying. The whole audience was laughing so hard on the Zune reference. So what they're listening to on the earth right now, like this is where it's at. 100 songs or 1,000 songs. Like shit was fucking hilarious. Now the end credit scene, guys. Oh man, the end credit scene. Adam Warlock. That's all I gotta say. And I think that's who it is. If you guys have any ideas who you think it might be, let me know in the comment section down below. Obviously, more will come out, so if you're watching this later on, it may have already been addressed. But at the time of filming right now, on Monday the 24th, guys, I think it's Adam Warlock. I think it's Adam Warlock. Oh my God, I could talk about this movie for hours, like I really can, and I need to see it again. But seriously guys, like what did you think about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? Were you excited about this movie as much as I was? I know I have so much that I probably didn't cover in this reaction right now, this review that I'm giving you, because this is literally from the theater right now, no script. So I'm super excited. What were your favorite parts about this movie? The things that you took away from it, how you felt about it, how it made you feel, your friends that you went with. Let me know in the comment down below. I would really like to hear your guys' thoughts on that. And if you guys want to see more stuff like this on this channel, hit the subscribe button because they're coming. We got some big movies coming this year. If you guys like this video, hit that thumbs up button. Show your boys some love. And if you want to check out my last video, the link will be right here to the side as well. All right, guys. Till next time. See you later. Boy.